We at the CPR Worldwide Media Network, your constitutional patriot radio station, would like to take a moment to reach out to a portion of our listening audience. To the NSA, the mainstream media, to liberals masquerading as conservatives who would like to see us off the air, and to those who are spinning their wheels trying to take us down, we have a special message just for you. At the CPR Worldwide Media Network, we're happy to be your 24/7, 365 obsession because, while you have your little panties in a wad, we're speaking truth to power, telling real conservatives what you don't want them to hear, the truth, and we're not gonna stop. Now then, back under your collective bridges with the rest of your fellow trolls, and oh yes, thanks for listening to CPR.
This is a station identification moment. You're listening to CPR Worldwide Media, a division of CPR Media Network, coming to you live right across the planet. Check out our website at www.cprworldwidemedia.com and our Facebook page at facebook.com/CPR Worldwide Media. This is CPR Media Network, coming to you live from the USA.
Well, looky here, a new listener. Hey, this ain't your little sister's radio station.
You're listening to Right Side Patriots on New Year's Eve on CPR Worldwide Media.
We, the people.
And welcome to Right Side Patriots live, as live can be on New Year's Eve, Diane. It is, and I don't know how they got like a half an hour off, but it is about 25 minutes till midnight in Afghanistan right now.
So our troops will be celebrating New Year's before we do.
Well, those that are still there, those that are, packing their stuff to get the hell out of there, Happy New Year's to them.
Yes, Happy New Year's, and hopefully, maybe by 2016, they will be home as the victors they should be.
Well, but we got Obama, so he's going to screw it up.
Of course.
I mean, he screwed it up in Iraq, so why should we think he's not going to do it here?
He screws it up wherever he goes, and especially when it involves our military. It's like he goes out of his way to screw things up for them.
Well, and he's successful at it. That's
Isn't
the
he,
worst
though?
part. That's
and not only does he screw it up when they're over there, he also screws it up by screwing them when they get home.
Boy, I tell you, it's just one damn thing after another with him. But today is New Year's Eve. It's New Year's Eve day, I guess is probably the best way to put it. Tonight, the parties, the celebrations begin. We hope everybody has a safe New Year's Eve. If you're going to party responsibly.
Yes, and have your designated driver.
Obama's got a designated driver on the golf course.
That's true. Hey, can he drive a golf court drunk or a little tipsy?
I don't know, but I bet he's going to find out. The Secret Service probably drives his golf cart for him. In case he has to make some.
No doubt about it.
Yeah, in case he has to make some sort of 5 mile an hour getaway.
That's about, his speed. The man couldn't run for anything. Well, I shouldn't say that. He can run like a sissy.
Yeah, yeah, he throws like one too.
Yeah, kind of
Good,
looks like it too.
good grief.
Never mind throws like one. He looks like one. Remember his bicycle?
Oh, I know. His little blue bicycle and his mom jeans and
And his little helmet,
yeah.
precociously, put atop his head.
Look, I don't blame
come
the
on,
guy for wearing
guys.
a helmet. Okay,
We gotta end the year as we started the year with a little Obama bashing.
you gotta wear a helmet if you're gonna ride a bike. You gotta wear a helmet. But that bike, really? Yeah, you couldn't find a more testosterone looking bike than that thing.
True.
Good Lord.
True.
Folks, we got a lot to do today. It is New Year's Eve. We're going to look back. We're going to look forward. We've got 2014's dumbest local laws. Okay, these are laws that have been on the books for all of a year now. We're going to check in with those and just see how they're doing. We've got a little bit of 2014 in review for you. Just some of the big stories, the top stories from 2014. Then we're going to look ahead into 2015. New and improved Muzzy fatwas.
Yes. Very new and improved. But by the way, folks, don't think the year in review is going to be a staid, very stodgy type of review. Remember, my partner is the king of snark.
I mean, we don't do anything that's that staid, especially on a show like this. I mean, this is kind of a party show for us.
Yeah, that's true. Break out the champagne.
Yeah, we've got new laws coming up for 2015 in this country.
Yeah.
We're going to be talking about those. Diane has a great article out on the situation with the police shootings. And if you haven't read it, you need to go find it at thepatriotfactor.blogspot.com. And as we wrap up the show today, I want to forewarn people on this. As we wrap up the show today, we have a very special tribute to law enforcement officers across the country. This is something we put together because of what's going on right now. We have the highest respect for our law enforcement officers. Diane and I do, and I know our listeners do. So we put together a very special tribute to our law enforcement officers. So a lot to get done. What do you say we check in and see if our moderate Muslim intern, Mohammed Hussein Obam, is partying in a cave high in the mountains of Tora Bora? Mohammed! Shut down the music and turn off the disco ball. We need you for a second. Diana, I wonder.
Yeah?
Do they celebrate New Year's over there the way we do?
I don't think they do, because remember, they're against drinking, they're against partying, they're against music, they're against, every and anything. So maybe to them.
Hey, Mohammed, are you up against the one-humper girlfriend right now?
Maybe the goat.
Yeah, he says he's up against her.
Well, he could be with the one humper, but he could have the goat on the side.
It's a party night. You doing the goat too? Yep. Well, yeah. Just take a minute and shoot us over some quick hitters on the Intercontinental Ballistic Camel, would you?
Got mine.
I got a set of them here. Let's see what we've got today. You know what? On this show, on Right Side Patriots, Diane and I always call out even those on our side that are acting the fool. And apparently Michael Grimm did. Michael Grimm has resigned from Congress, a Republican, over tax evasion.
Yes. But you know what's kind of odd about this? Here it is. Yes, he evaded his taxes. Bad boy. However, he has the decency to resign. Now, on the other hand, you have our favorite race baiter and white hater, the anything but Reverend Al Sharpton, who has tax evaded to the tunes of millions of dollars. Not only does he still get elected, but he's been a visitor to the White House over 27 times.
Well, it wasn't it just a few years ago Charlie Rangel got caught not paying taxes?
Yes, and nothing happened to him either.
He's still there?
Yep.
See, this is what separates the conservatives or the Republicans from the liberals and the Democrats. Well, when the conservatives get caught doing something like this, they resign.
Yeah. At least, they have the decency to resign. I mean, what he did was wrong. He not only did he file false tax returns, he also engaged in mail fraud, wire fraud, and perjury. And he knowingly hired undocumented workers.
Dear God, the man's a liberal.
Yeah, but the thing is, he is taking responsibility for his actions.
Well, yeah, it's kind of funny because the other day when this story broke, I had some liberal idiot message me on Facebook, and he said, "Well, are you going to come out and write a scathing article about Michael Grimm?" And I said, "Nope." And he said, "Oh, sure, you do it. You run the Democrats and the liberals under the bus, but you won't touch one of your own." And I said, "I don't have to because the man already resigned. It happened that fast."
Yes.
And of course, this liberal knothead says he did not. And I said, "Yes, he did. Go check your newswire."
Well, that's the problem. Liberals love to bloviate without having their facts. They don't check their facts. They listen to MSNBC, and they consider that, their place to go for facts, and it's anything but. They don't do their research. They just love to hear themselves talk.
Well, and Michael Grimm resigned so quickly when this story broke. I didn't have time to write an article about it, telling him that he should resign.
None of us did. I mean, this happened basically overnight. He got caught. He got found guilty. He resigned. He did the honorable thing. Does it excuse his actions? No. But he did the honorable thing. He took responsibility for his actions.
Well, so he's gone. He's out of there.
Yes.
And he's not the only one we're going to talk about today either. But let's move on. The pilot of that crashed Asia Airlines flight.
Yeah.
First of all, let me just say, if your travel plans include getting on a flight that originates out of Malaysia, change your plans.
Immediately.
All right. But we have found out that this guy, this pilot guy, was a devout Muslim who, while serving in an Air Force, used to bomb Christian villages just because they were Christians.
Yeah. Yeah, and this is who was flying a plane. This man had no business being a pilot of a commercial airliner. Can you imagine if he took that airliner and slammed it into a village or something?
Well,
you can't put anything past these people.
No, and let me tell you what I just discovered. I mean, just literally about 10 minutes before we took the air here today, is that according to flight data, excuse me, collected by radar, that plane, just moments before it disappeared, went into a climb so steep that aviation officials say it exceeded the performance qualifications of the aircraft.
You think he was on a suicide mission, perhaps?
Well, it's hard to say, but he took that thing almost straight up before it came down and crashed into the water. Now, they did find one body that was wearing a life jacket, which means that at least somebody, and this was, I believe, one of the flight attendants, somebody knew that plane was going into the water.
Yeah, he might have announced, whatever they scream, Allah Akbar, he might have said something and enough people might have had time to put on life jackets. But when you're coming from that high up, even a life jacket is not going to save you.
I finally did a little research on that Allah Akbar thing.
Yeah.
And I found out that in Farsi, that means holy shit.
Yeah. Well, kind of apropos for all of them, I would say.
Well, I mean, watch those videos with that in mind, folks. Watch all the videos of, when the Muslims get bombed, someplace, and they're all running around yelling, Allah Akbar, Allah Akbar. And just run that translation through your head and see if it doesn't make sense.
Yeah. And what's funny is now, remember, Craig, in the beginning when Malaysian Flight 370 first disappeared, you and I were one of the first, and we got criticized for this.
Oh, yeah.
For saying that the plane was hijacked and taken to a not-so-nice country. Mm-hmm. To be used, retrofitted possibly to hit Tel Aviv. Well, now some of the talking heads are coming on board and saying this is a little too coincidental.
You think?
You think? I know.
I know. But look, I mean, 161 souls on board that lost their lives in that crash a couple of days ago. We make light of parts of this, but there's nothing to be making light of when
No.
161 people lose their lives and something like that. But you and I, we don't believe in coincidences when it comes to things like this. So, take it for what it's worth, folks.
We don't believe in coincidences in anything. We like to see our tangible facts.
Well, here's somebody whose tangible facts caught up with him. And this was House Majority Whip Steve Scalise, another Republican who says he now regrets speaking to a white supremacist group 12 years ago. Apparently, somebody dug out some records and found out that Scalise gave a speech to some group back in 2002 that was a white supremacist group, and now liberals are coming out of the woodwork screaming bloody murder about it. And one of them, obviously, is Nancy Pelosi, and she, she is the same one who, when Robert Byrd retired, praised him for his life's work. Now, Robert Byrd was I don't know what he was, a Kleagle in the Ku Klux Klan, which I think makes him before
he was
Taylor.
high up there.
So I mean, this guy was, a long time member of the Klan himself, and she praised him. But oh boy, when word broke that 12 years ago he spoke to a white supremacist unit, Katie barred the door.
Yeah, and what's also quite funny, for lack of a better word, is that he had won the key endorsement of Republican Cedric Richmond, who will be Louisiana's only Democrat and only black in Congress when the new Congress convenes. Now, Richmond had said that he doesn't think Scalise has a racist bone in his body. And what was said 12 years ago, let it go. People do say dumb things for many reasons. Okay, well, it was 12 years ago. This is sort of like a witch hunt like they did with Paula Deen.
Yeah.
Remember that?
Exactly. Now, I'll tell you what I would like to see in this case, because like you said, Diane, you and I deal in the tangible facts. I would like to see a copy of the text of the speech he gave, because all we know at this point is that he spoke to the group. Now, right. We don't know if he spoke lovingly and supportingly of this group or whether he excoriated the group.
Right. We don't know anything. All we know is that he spoke before this group. But you know what? Personally, I don't care what he said 12 years ago. People say things when they're younger. They learn. They say, whoa, did I really believe that back then? Things change. People change. Incidences change. I'm not going to hold it against somebody what they did 12 years ago with words. Now, if he had gone out and lynched somebody or burned a cross on his yard, yeah, that might be different.
Yeah, he may. Look, I don't want to seem like I'm trying to make excuses for the guy, but when you're rather new in Congress, a lot of times you'll just take any speaking engagement that comes along just so you're out there in the public.
Yes.
He may have gone to this thing not even fully realizing, which is his own fault if he didn't realize that this was a white supremacist group. But, and this is why, just because you get elected to Congress doesn't mean that you know everything. You still got to do your research. And if he failed to do that and went and talked to them anyway, I would almost think he's too stupid to be in Congress, personally.
Yeah, but back in 2002, when this happened, he was not in Congress. He was a state legislator. And he spoke to many groups about major tax issues. And this, I would assume, this is what he was thinking.
Could be.
This group wanted to hear, because at that time he was going around speaking about tax issues. He could have actually been misled too. Again, I'm not making excuses for him either. But what he did in 2002 and what his record in Congress shows, that's more important than a couple of words he said to some local group, as far as I'm concerned.
Well, and to his credit, he did not try to justify the fact that he went and spoke to this group. He says he regrets it. So,
right.
And there again is a difference between Republicans and liberals, or conservatives and liberals, because if a liberal gets caught doing this, they try to justify it.
Right. In fact, here's a quote from him. Scalise said he had little staffing as a state legislator and didn't always know details of groups he was invited to address. And this is his quote: "I didn't know who all of these groups were, and I detest any kind of hate group." He, like you said, just, hey, you got a speaking engagement and get your name before the public. You find out later on what this group really is, but your actions don't go along with that group. Isn't it better to judge somebody by their actions than a couple of words?
Well, absolutely. And, if anybody knows anything about members of either Congress or state legislatures, they don't make all their own speaking arrangements. They have a staff. It's not very big when you're in the state legislature, but you do have somebody in there, in your office, that acts as your secretary, and they're the ones that juggle your calendar and make sure that you are where you're supposed to be. And if they get a speaking engagement and they have an open date, they book it.
Right.
But at least he says he regrets it instead of trying to justify it. So good for him.
Yes.
And finally, in the quick hitters today, Diane, we have another tragedy to talk about, and this is that fire on the ferry.
Yeah, but you want to know something more grievous than the actual fire itself is what the muzzy, do I dare say the word? Well,
sure.
Let's make it a little calmer. What these muzzy men POSs did is more grievous than the actual fire.
Well, the fire breaks out on deck. It just burns and burns and burns and burns, and people finally have an opportunity to get the hell off the thing. And witnesses are saying that they witnessed Muslim men beating women and children in order to keep them from getting on the lifeboats before the Muslim men did.
Right. In fact, they have even interviewed people that were beaten by these muzzy men. And it's not pretty what they're saying. It's not pretty at all. And these men have little respect for women and children to begin with. Now we have witnesses testifying to what they did. This is.
It's not
Craig,
exactly
these people just.
Oh, I know.
They amaze me. And yet our president condones them.
It's not exactly the type of decorum we usually see in a sinking vessel. Certainly not what happened on the deck of the Titanic.
Right. And you know what's funny? It's not just ordinary citizens that are reporting this. Apparently, the Greek soprano Demetra Theodosiou. Sorry if I mispronounced the name. She was on board the ferry, and she told them what was happening. She actually saw the men beat women and children in order to get to the rescue helicopter before anyone else.
I mean,
so this is a credible witness.
It's just amazing, isn't it? I mean, the more you hear about that culture, that 7th century barbaric culture, I mean, we shouldn't be surprised by any of this, but yet I'm still amazed when I hear stories. It's like, really? Really, you're gonna start beating on women and children just so you can get in the helicopter first? Good Lord.
Well, I guess they figured, the helicopter might be able to make only a certain amount of runs before the ship went down, so the hell with the women and children. That goes along with the Muslim way of thinking. Remember, women and children are chattel.
Well, I mean, they probably figured the women are going to get stoned, within the next 6 months or a year anyway, so why wait?
Yeah, this... I just don't get it. Here we are, we're Western civilization, and we don't do these things, and yet our government is allowing these things to happen, is condoning these things, and what's sad about it, it's happening right here in our own country.
Well, yeah, you see it in places like Dearbornistan and the Mecca of the Midwest there in Michigan. I'm almost ready to quit saying Western civilization and just say civilization, because I'm telling you, there's nothing civilized about this Islamic culture. Nothing.
Nothing at all. Nothing at all. Like you always say, they're 6th century, 7th century barbarians with 21st century weapons, and that makes them extremely dangerous.
I mean, that mentality... when we have disasters like that over here, or in almost any other, part of the world, what you find is people, and especially men, that are putting themselves in danger to help other people get out of that situation.
Well, you know what it is, Craig? We've been brought up like that. We've been brought up as civilized men and women.
Oh, yeah, I forgot.
Okay, we left the caves a long time ago. We left our camels and goats behind a long time ago. And I mean that in the sense of our philosophy, our way of being, our way of living. We've left all that behind. They haven't. They relish in it. They roll around in it.
Yeah, they roll around in it.
Yeah, literally.
I mean, kind of like a dog rolling in its own poo.
Yeah, it's just amazing. We are in the 21st century, folks. We're on the verge of finally getting our space program back up and running. Hopefully we're going to be on Mars by 2025, and here it is. We have these people living in caves, living like barbarians of their own choice.
I don't want to...
But Craig, the gene pool there anyway. What
it's
do you
pretty
expect?
Shallow. Yeah, it's pretty shallow.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to give this away, okay? So all I'm going to say about it is this. Diane said, we're civilized. We're trying to get our space program back and get to Mars by 2025. The Muzzies have a fatwa out about Mars, and we're going to get to that a little bit later in the show.
Because the Muzzies hate Mars.
Apparently they do, and we're gonna let you know what that's all about coming up after a little bit. We've got 2014's dumbest local laws and a 2014 snarky year in review coming up for you next, folks. We're going to take a quick break right here. Oh, you know what, Diane? This would also be a good time to plug what we're doing later tonight, because apparently we found out we are contractually obligated. There was no way out. We tried. We had our team of attorneys on it. We could not get out of this. You and I are going to make an appearance tonight on the Stallions show.
Yes, and the Stallion show is just great. And being that it's New Year's, it is going to be rave party time.
Well, he promised some thumpa and a little bit of fun, and we tried, folks. We did. We tried to get out of it. We couldn't. Our vaunted team of attorneys could not find any wiggle room in the contract, so we are going to do that show tonight,
Yes.
whether we like it or not. And that show, I believe, comes on at 9 o'clock Eastern Time. So,
Yes, we're
if
going to be the voice of sanity during this party.
if you're not sick of us by 4 o'clock this afternoon, there's more of us coming up at 9 o'clock. That's fair warning, folks. Now, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, the dumbest local laws of 2014 and a snarky 2014 in review. Don't go anywhere. We'll be right back with more on Right Side Patriots after this.
It's not about how many miles you can get out of the C-Max Hybrid. It's about how much life you can fit into it. The Ford C-Max Hybrid, with an EPA estimated range of 540 miles on a tank of gas, and all the room you need to enjoy the trip. Go stretch out. Go further.
I believe that every single one of us has what it takes
to win back-to-back gold.
Ski faster than any other human.
I believe it's possible to overcome fear.
I believe
it's possible to destroy stereotypes.
To start over, to be the toughest,
The strongest.
the bravest in the world. And when we work together, we can make it all possible. That's why Citi has donated $500,000 to its Every Step of the Way program, an initiative created to help future athletes reach their full potential through sport programs that inspire us. Like figure skating in Harlem.
like youth enrichment services, like Team for Tomorrow.
The Team USA Stay on the Slopes initiative. Now spread the word and help decide how much of that money goes toward
Offering personal support and financial assistance to Olympians in need.
Promoting the growth of hockey in the U.S.
expanding the sport of luge into new regions.
Support for wounded service members. Join Team Citi and let's turn a world of potential into reality.
Go to citi.com/everystep and help decide where the money goes.
Read something recently worth thinking about. It's the soldier, not the campus organizer, who's given us freedom to demonstrate. It's the soldier, not the reporter, who's given us freedom of the press. It's the soldier, not the poet, who's given us freedom of speech. It's the soldier who serves under the flag, who defends the protesters' right to burn the flag. Isn't it time now to demonstrate that we support our troops? Were it not for the brave, there'd be no land of the free.
Fred Thompson's message was brought to you by citizensunited.org.
And we're back on Right Side Patriots. Craig Andreessen from the National Patriot, Diane Sori from the Patriot Factor, and a little Auld Lang Syne. The way it really ought to be played on bagpipes. I love the sound of bagpipes.
Yeah, there's something very nice about them and kind of very honorable in a sense, because you notice at most state funerals or funerals of dignitaries, whatever, you usually do have some bagpipes playing.
Well, I've got some Scottish, Irish, English heritage, and so I think I come by my love of bagpipes naturally, almost genetically, from that. But I was searching around today. I wanted to find an Auld Lang Syne that we could play on the show, but I wanted it to be something that you don't hear or that you wouldn't hear on a whole bunch of other radio shows. So I chose that one, and, I thought, well, this is the way it really ought to sound,
Hey, why not? But the big question is, do you look good in a kilt?
I look good when I'm not in a kilt, too.
Because most bagpipers do wear kilts, so...
Yep, and you know what a Scotsman wears under his kilt?
Nothing.
His pride.
Aha.
Oh, we got a lot yet to cover today. We're going to start in here with the dumbest local laws of 2014. Before we end the show today, right at the end of the show, we have a very special tribute to police officers around the country. And trust me, you don't want to miss that.
Yes, it's very good and very touching.
Let's take a look at some of the laws that have been on the books now for a whole year.
Okay.
Because, folks, you're just not going to believe some of this crap that gets passed.
Yeah, and they waste our money, our taxpayer money, doing it.
Now, down in Ocala, Florida, that's your corner of the country down there, Florida
yes,
is.
It is.
Ocala, Florida, in an attempt to get residents to pull up their damn pants, the Ocala City Council unanimously passed an ordinance that saggy pants were not to be worn.
Okay, but you want to know something? This is a ridiculous, ordinance. Kids of a certain group, let's say, they go through phases and whatever. And it is quite disgusting when you're walking down the street and you're seeing some youth approach you and their pants are down below their crotch and all that. When I see that, I might, be snarky and say, pull your pants up, you look like a jerk.
Now, the ACLU, they came out, Diane. They said it was racist.
It's not racist. It's kids looking like idiots.
Exactly.
Come on, there's nothing racist about it because white kids do it too, so they can emulate their black friends.
You know what? Pull up your damn pants.
Yeah, but don't spend our money for an ordinance to pull up your pants. Where are their parents letting them out of the house like that?
Yeah, that's a great question. You wonder what the parents look like. But of course, if you really want to know, you can go to the website, the people at Walmart, and find out, I suppose.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. And I mean, to say that this is racially biased and targeted, this is the ACLU speaking, so that kind of says it all.
What's next on our list of 2014 stupid laws?
Okay, a Pennsylvania city has banned clutter.
Clutter?
Clutter. This is in Oil City, Pennsylvania, and they're talking about anything that's made out of junk, rubbish, and clutter left outside private homes is illegal. But they don't define what junk, rubbish, or clutter is. So meaning they could have their code enforcement people go by your house, and let's say somebody has a nice plant in a metal pot that happens to look like a waste paper basket. Well, to them that could be clutter and that person could be fined. You don't remove it, the fines go up every day, and they go up high.
Yeah, but one man's trash is another man's treasure.
True. And one man's taste is another, it might not be another man's taste. Now, I could see having ordinances if you have a disgusting yard that's breeding vermin.
Well, yeah, that's
the grass
different.
is knee high, and there's snakes and all sorts of creepy crawlies in your yard and stuff like that, and trash. I mean, garbage trash. I could see that. But come on, the picture Muhammad sent us, and I know he probably had a hand in this.
Probably.
Because it looks like, camel droppings here in one of the pictures. But, you gotta...
Look.
You gotta selectively choose with an ounce of working brain cells what's important enough to go after and what isn't.
Just because Diane puts headless plastic pink flamingos all over her yard does not mean it's rubbish.
That's right. By the way, there's not a pink flamingo to be found anywhere down here.
Why, people keep stealing them out of your yard? Is that?
No, a couple of years ago, as a matter of fact, the main factory that used to produce the tacky, touristy plastic pink flamingos, they did go out of business for a while voluntarily. They have come back now, but the cheap little $2.50 flamingo, is now $25 and up because it's not cheap plastic anymore.
Oh. Well, see, there goes another fine American tradition straight to hell.
Yeah. Oh, well.
Well, let's see, what else do we have here? Apparently, in Hillsboro, Oregon, they decided to slap a 10% tax, a sales tax, on marijuana. Now, the problem is they were collecting taxes for 2 months before weed became legal in Arizona or in Oregon. So they were
what
actually.
Happens then? Do they have to give the money back and send them, send all of them to jail?
I don't know. I mean, how do you do that? I mean, you guess they made it legal, but not until a certain date. And the city, Hillsboro, started collecting sales tax for it 2 months ahead of time.
Yeah, and it was done strictly to raise tax revenue. Here it is, you make something legal. It doesn't go in with a tax, but all of a sudden, because you decide you want more tax revenue, we're going to slap on a tax.
Yeah, it makes all the sense in the world, doesn't it?
Doesn't it, though? Oh, God, it just gets happier and happier, doesn't it?
What else you got?
We got South Bend censors its council members.
Well, it's about time.
It actually outlines what city council members can and cannot post on social media, even in their role as private citizens.
Really?
Yep. Yeah, and once you cross the line and tell them, I can understand there could be rules regarding social media in your capacity as an elected official. But what you do as a private citizen, and we had this problem in my own small hometown with a sitting commissioner. He posted something on social media that, I don't want to say risque, but it did cross a line. But he did not do it as a sitting commissioner. He did it on his own.
Okay.
Well, he was admonished for it and whatever, and rightly so. It was not a nice thing, and it kind of had some underage girls in it. But it wasn't anything. It wasn't anything that was horrible by any means. So here it is. You have the same type of situation here in South Bend, but now they're actually passing an ordinance that you can't do what you want to do, even in your own personal life, away from your elected official responsibilities.
That seems a little overbearing.
That seems a little overbearing, and a little bit, you're crossing the line into people's personal freedoms.
Well, speaking of people's personal freedoms, and again, I don't know what's going on in your state down there, but Florida makes this one too. Okay?
I know, sadly, I know.
Down at Fort Lauderdale, it's about the latest. It's not just Fort Lauderdale either, folks. This is happening in a lot of cities. Fort Lauderdale's just been in the news recently for it. They have passed a city ordinance which requires charities that want to feed the homeless to obey very strict food service restrictions and provide toilet facilities at the same time.
Porta potties they're talking about. Yeah.
So here's your sandwich and a porta potty to poop in.
Yeah, I mean, I can understand regulating the feeding times of the homeless because, let's say there's a bunch of families in the parks. Mostly they do these feedings when they do them outdoors. They do
Right.
them in the parks. And I can see regulating the times because you do have families going in with children and let's be honest here. Some of the homeless might not be the cleanest of people. And I can understand regulating some times. But they did carry this a bit too far.
They're even
Banning
arresting
the
people.
feeding of the homeless in public venues.
They have actually arrested people, individuals, for giving food to homeless people.
Yes, and one of them that made our news all over South Florida was a 90-year-old veteran who for years and years and years had been feeding the homeless in a building. And sometimes they went outside and they tried to shut him down. He did prevail in the end.
Yeah,
Because
finally.
public sentiment, was with him. But, you got to do it responsibly. What you do in the church buildings, we should not butt into at all. The churches want to feed them, more power to them.
Do we really want to be providing porta potties for the homeless? Because you know how some of those people are. They'll abscond with the thing, subdivide it, and rent it to a family of 6.
Again, it's comical on one end, but, these food banks, they help a lot of people. They help the homeless veterans. They help homeless families through the bad economic times who once had a home and now are homeless and can't feed their children. They do a lot of good. They really do.
They really
But there are
honestly
some
do.
in the community that do take advantage of it.
Well, but you know what? Do we need cities passing ordinances that make it difficult just to be nice to people that might be down
No.
on their luck? No.
No.
And what about chickens, Diane?
Oh, I like this one.
Go ahead.
Okay. Apparently, this was a tough year for urban chicken advocates. In Luzerne County, Pennsylvania, and Huntsville, Alabama, a few municipalities had voted against easing regulations on backyard chicken farming. A lot of people in these more, rural areas have chickens to lay eggs so they can feed the eggs. And in some cases, they sell the eggs out on the street or in farmers markets, whatever. Well, certain cities voted against backyard chickens.
Yeah, they're chickens. When I was growing up, we had a couple of chickens in our backyard.
Hey, I wake up, I live in a small town, South Florida, guys, is not all Miami. Okay, I'm not even in Dade, Miami-Dade County. I'm in a very small town. And every morning I wake up to the sound of roosters. And it's nice.
It's kind of cool, Now, I don't know if anybody in my little town here in Nebraska, I don't know if they have chickens in their backyard, but I do know this town is full of free-range dogs.
Oh, yes, you've had
Because
experiences.
they keep coming over and crapping in my yard.
Yeah, after you made it all pretty and nice, in come the doggies.
I know. It's every morning you walk out there and there's a pile of mastodon poop. And, it doesn't belong to my dog.
For that, but I won't.
It doesn't belong to my dog. Do we need city ordinances regarding chickens in your backyard? Really?
No.
Really?
No. They need to pick and choose their battles, and chickens shouldn't be one of the battles that waste our taxpayer dime on.
That's chicken crap, really.
Yeah, chicken poop.
You know, well, those are just some of the really bad laws that came into effect in 2014. But we also have a quick 2014 snarky year in review. Just some of the headlines. Not a lot of need to go into these. Just a few headlines from the year that was. Okay.
Why don't you lead it off, Craig?
All right. Well, Dennis Rodman, we all remember the worm. Dennis Rodman, he got drunk in North Diarrhea and made less sense than he normally does.
And Colorado got Rocky Mountain High as a kite, and it's now legal.
How about that? They haven't come down since.
Nope.
Over in Massachusetts, okay, the National Guard got called out in February to wage war. They had to wage war against the polar vortex or global warming or the weather. You can take your pick. Which is actually good training because later they were going to be sent to Africa in a cesspool to wage war against Ebola.
The dangerous, deadly Ebolas that only got a handful of people here in this country, and I believe only one person died. But anyway, an entire, very, very large Malaysian airliner simply up and vanished in March, and for some reason investigators are still looking for it in the water instead of looking for it on the land or in a very, very bad country. And, they're wasting their time in the water because nothing anywhere has floated to the surface in more than 9 months. And guess what, folks? The laws of physics say something goes down, certain things will come up.
The Asian airliner crashes into the ocean, and within 24 hours, they got floaters. They got stuff. They got pieces of the plane. They got seat cushions. They found some bodies. They got stuff floating. 9 months later, nothing from Malaysia
Nothing.
Air 370.
Nothing, because they're looking in the water as diversionary tactics.
That's all it is. Here's another one of the headlines in our year in review. Obama placed crippling sanctions on about a dozen or so Russians over that country's invasion of Crimea, and Putin is still laughing.
Oh, my God, is he laughing? And can you blame him? Look what we have as the president, a big joke.
Obama says, I'm going to teach them Russians.
Yeah.
Yeah. How'd that
What's he
work out
going
for
to
you?
teach them? Jiving or high-fiving? Oh, God. We also had the VA got caught not doing one damn thing for our military veterans, people who could kill them with a napkin if they wanted to, but they did a lot for themselves.
Oh, didn't they ever?
Mm-hmm.
Holy cow. We caught the IRS not keeping copies of their records, not saving copies of their email receipts, and throwing away their computer hard drives so as to leave no trace whatsoever of their last 2 years of existence. But they expect all of us to show them everything we have ever done since the Herbert Hoover administration or face going to jail. Isn't that nice of them?
Yeah. We face going to jail, but Al Sharpton gets a free pass.
No, he's only $4.5 million in the hole. If you and I went 45 cents.
$4.5 million amongst racist buddies.
Well, yeah, you and I go 45 cents in the hole. We're in the big house.
We're definitely. And speaking of Obama, remember how he bragged about how he got us out of Iraq? Well, now he decided to start a military operation in Iraq to try and defeat ISIS by arming ISIS in Syria and asking Iran to help out. In other words, he's aiding and abetting the enemy again, folks, and he's still walking around as president.
What could possibly go wrong?
I don't know.
Interesting, isn't it? Here's another one. A thug got himself killed by a cop that he tried to kill, and then protests erupted back in August because apparently it's racist to kill a black thug that tried to kill you if you're white.
Yes, and D-list celebrities got all pissed off because everybody was posting their naked selfies all over the internet, and nobody suggested, nobody with a, working brain cell, that the way to prevent that is simply don't take naked selfies of yourselves with your iPhones and then post them.
It's kind of one of those, well, duh.
Yeah, a duh moment.
I mean, seriously. Think about it. For months and months and months, every day is another celebrity. Celebrity selfie nude photos posted online. And then the celebrity come out and get all mad about it. You know, some of them are trying to sue, over it and everything. Well,
why'd you do it in the first place?
I mean, for the love of God, people.
They want the attention. Remember, these people are driven by their narcissism.
These are people that spend the first half of their career jumping up and down yelling, "Look at me, look at me." And then the second half of their career jumping up and down yelling, "Don't look at me."
Yeah, or why did you look at me?
And let me tell you, some of those people that were complaining the loudest about those selfies,
yeah,
they had a right to complain. I wouldn't want them out there either.
That's true. And, who knows? There could be a real eye killer. Selfies of the moo could be circulating.
Oh!
My eyes.
Muhammad, some bleach for my eyes, please.
He doesn't know what bleach is.
No, doesn't know what deodorant is.
True.
We as a nation were embroiled in an attack of wild Ebolas. And that was back in mid-October. And the epidemic lasted until Obama appointed a lawyer as his Ebola czar, who apparently sent the disease a cease and desist letter back on November 3rd because the epidemic itself ended abruptly when liberals lost the Senate on November 4th.
Isn't that a happy coincidence?
Well, pretty much we haven't heard boo crap about Ebola since the election.
No, that's because 6 people had it. I think 1 died, if I'm not mistaken. The others, are fine. And we are way, way past the incubation period. So, Ebola was never a threat, guys. Never.
See, Obama and the regime, they thought, if people are afraid to go outside because there are marauding wild Ebolas running loose, free-range Ebolas, then maybe they won't go and vote and we'll still hang on to the Senate.
That's true. Craig, would you like to do this last one?
Well, okay. Finally, Obama signed an executive order ending American sovereignty. He ended American sovereignty by giving amnesty to millions of diseased juvenile Mexican delinquents, which were, of course, the best our neighbors to the south had to offer, so that American businesses can now hire them over American workers because criminal aliens who can't speak English are a far more reliable workforce than are American citizens.
Yes, and to that I'll add, remember when our wonder-in-chief stood before the cameras and said illegals are just as American as we are? Illegals. Now, with that word illegal, criminal, you do something illegal, you are a criminal, and our Constitution clearly states we do not have to give refuge to criminals. And yet that's exactly what our traitor-in-chief is doing.
Well, let me just tell you, illegal aliens may be every bit as American as Obama is, but not as you and I.
That's a good one. I love that one.
Folks, we got a lot to do yet today. Another whole hour of this fun and frivolity. We're going to get into the brand new and improved Muzzy fatwas for 2015. Some new laws coming up for 2015, things you want to keep your eye on. Diane's article on the situation with our police officers and these shootings. And then to end the show today, a very, very special tribute to police officers around the country. So, folks...
And let's not forget, you and I have a couple of predictions of what we think is going to happen in 2015.
Folks, you don't want to miss any of this. Trust me. Trust me. We're going to be back after a brief timeout with more on Right Side Patriots, the New Year's Eve special. Don't go anywhere, folks.
The design of the Ford Escape is clearly intended to grab your eye. Oh, and your foot. Huh, ain't that a kick? The Ford Escape with the foot-activated liftgate. Go open up something interesting. Go further.
Why do cities shine so bright? It's the glow of opportunities, of ideas bouncing off one another. of countless people, every one of us, striving to succeed. Right now, in cities everywhere, ideas are being born. New thinking that will put us in awe of what people are capable of. That's what lights cities up. And helping people and their ideas to burn even brighter. So that communities, businesses, and you and I can grow. What if a bank made that its job? For more than 200 years, Citi's job has been to help empower people and business. Now, around the world, it's wherever people gather, wherever ideas come alive. It's wherever you are. The world's city.
We at the CPR Worldwide Media Network, your constitutional patriot radio station, would like to take a moment to reach out to a portion of our listening audience. To the NSA, the mainstream media, to liberals masquerading as conservatives who would like to see us off the air, and to those who are spinning their wheels trying to take us down, we have a special message just for you. At the CPR Worldwide Media Network, we're happy to be your 24/7, 365 obsession because, while you have your little panties in a wad, we're speaking truth to power, telling real conservatives what you don't want them to hear, the truth. And we're not gonna stop. Now then, back under your collective bridges with the rest of your fellow trolls, and oh yes, thanks for listening to CPR.
This is a station identification moment. You're listening to CPR Worldwide Media, a division of CPR Media Network, coming to you live right across the planet. Check out our website at www.cprworldwidemedia.com and our Facebook page at facebook.com/CPR Worldwide Media. This is CPR Media Network, coming to you live from the USA.
Well, looky here, a new listener. Hey, this ain't your little sister's radio station.
Listening to the second hour of Right Side Patriots New Year's Eve special on CPR Worldwide Media.
We the people.
And we're back on Right Side Patriots. Craig Andreessen from the National Patriot. Diane Sori from the Patriot Factor. And Diane, it's New Year's Eve, huh?
Yep, New Year's Eve, and it's going to be a very strange New Year's, folks, because we have a slowdown by the New York Police Department, apparently. Apparently, we're getting conflicting words on that, and here it is, they're expecting over 1 million people to watch the Waterford Ball fall down at midnight.
You know, we're going to get into this whole police thing before the end of the show today, but holy cow. You know, I mean, it's getting more disgusting and more dire by the minute. But before we get to all of that, Diane, the Muzzies have new and improved fatwas for us to talk about. I love saying that word, fatwa.
I mean, everything they do is just ludicrous.
What's wrong with these idiots?
They're still in the 7th century is what their problem is.
Well, you know.
Why don't you begin one?
Well, here you go, folks. If you're a subscriber to Sharia law and all things 7th century barbarian. You can take it very stealthy. You can sneak a look at your bathing fiance if you want to. Okay, it is permissible for a man to take a quick, stealthy look at his fiancée while she is showering, but only on the condition that he has an earnest intention of getting married to her. If it's just a passing fancy, somebody's losing their head.
Yeah, and kind of along the same lines is a video has surfaced on YouTube of Jordanian preacher, and these people have the most stupid names, Yassin al-Aglorni, in which he stated that female Syrian refugees are allowed to ask financially able Muslim men to shelter them as concubines. No. They finance you. They're whores.
I mean,
they don't finance you, and you're a whore. It's off with your heads too.
You suppose women are lining up for that over there?
Yeah, I think so, right?
Open buffet is haram, says Saudi preacher and member of Saudi Arabia's Senior Scholars Authority. Here's another one of those names. Saleh al-Fawzan? I don't know.
How about Salal al blah, 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 blah?
That works. The lion's share of contentious fatwas during 2014, most notably that open buffet banquets are impermissible on the basis that they do not quote a clear price for transactions. So the all-you-can-eat buffet down at Fatwa City, off limits.
Hey, I wonder if the one that John Kerry's wife runs, the restaurant that she runs that is strictly Islamic, I wonder if they have open buffets.
Boy, if you're going to cut off John Kerry's head, you better bring a big saw. That guy's got a melon on him.
Absolutely.
Just saying.
And then we have that elections are prohibited. Politics had their role in fatwas during the year, with the most outstandingly political fatwa made by Sheikh Yosef al blah, 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 blah again, prohibiting participation in the presidential elections that brought El-Sisi to power. Because apparently this blah, 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 whose name I believe is pronounced Dawi, is the chairman of the International Union of Muslim Scholars and a supporter of Sisi's predecessor, deposed President Mohamed Morsi, just like Obama is.
Isn't that something?
Isn't it, though?
Lying. Now, this could get Obama in trouble. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
Lying is halal, contrary to popular opinion. Yasser Borhami. What a name for a Muslim. Borhami.
Ham.
He's the deputy chairman of the Salafi Dawa. Can you have a fatwa dawa? Or a dawa fatwa? He said it was even permissible for a wife to lie to her husband to be able to get out and vote in the constitutional referendum last January.
Okay.
Now, you got to wear a garbage bag from head to toe, but you can lie, and you can tell your husband you have to go get a new garbage bag and then sneak out and vote.
Yes. Well, this last one, guys.
This one's right up Diane's alley.
Right up my alley.
I'm telling you right now.
As many of our viewers know, I am directly connected with an immediate family member to space exploration and the space program. So anything that defames or dishonors anything to do with space exploration gets my ire up. Well, now the Muzzies have put a fatwa on Mars. Apparently, the UAE, the United Arab Emirates, General Authority for Islamic Affairs and Endowments, is prohibiting life on Mars. In an official statement, the authority said living on Mars was against Islam. no matter that a Dutch-run project, Mars 1, proclaims plans for a human colony on the red planet by 2025. NASA, by the way, folks, plans on having someone on Mars by 2020. There's going to be a biological probe going up at that time. But here it is, the authorities' argument was that heading to Mars would resemble a suicide mission, given the dangers such a step could involve. And we all know the Muslims are so against suicide missions.
Uh-huh. Right.
Yeah.
Since when?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
Jeez
But there's a
Louise.
fatwa. Anyone that goes to Mars will have a fatwa placed on their head.
Well, the good news is we finally found a place where the Muzzies won't be invading. The bad news is it's Mars.
Yeah, I don't think ISIS or any of those groups will, be too happy going to Mars. Although, you know what? The living conditions on Mars kind of are like the cesspools they live in down here.
Well, they are. But now, so that takes care of Mars. But, we've got other planets. Did they put a fatwa on Uranus?
No, they love Uranus.
Oh, there's the words I just didn't want to hear today.
Well, guess what? You heard them. It's New
Oh
Year's Eve.
boy, oh boy, oh boy.
Yes.
So there you go, folks. Brand new and improved fatwas for 2015 from our friends, the 7th century barbarians.
You gotta
Lord.
love it, right?
Man, oh man, oh man. Now, they're not the only ones with new rules and new laws. We've got a whole bunch of them in this country, too. And these are new laws for 2015. These are things that are going to be implemented coming up here starting tomorrow.
Why don't you lead that off? Because I'm having a little bit of pop-outs here right now.
Well, some of these things, folks, they're just crazy. Let's just looking through some of these. Some of these are just too weird to even bring up.
Okay. It popped back in. Okay, go ahead.
Let's see here. Animal tattoos.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, I had no idea. But apparently in New York, a law signed on December 15th by Andrew Cuomo, the governor, is going to make it a crime to either pierce or tattoo an animal.
Now, what is he going to do about the piercings that veterinarians put on to identify animals?
I don't know. And sometimes they'll actually do a little tattoo thing. The only exception, it says, will be for markings done under a vet's supervision for medical reasons or identification. But anybody thinking of getting Fido some sort of a tattoo, like of a bulldog or something, not going to happen. It's going to be penalties and violations from 15 days in jail and up to a $250 fine.
Yes. And now we have headlines that marijuana legalization had special measures approved on Election Day in Oregon, Alaska, and the District of Columbia. And though marijuana is still considered illegal by the federal government, the two states and D.C. will now follow Colorado and Washington state in allowing it locally.
Well.
Locally. And they can't do it, though, to celebrate the New Year's. You can't light up a joint to celebrate the New Year's because the measure doesn't take effect until February. And the Oregon measure doesn't take effect until July of 2015.
That's going to
But
stop
they're
them.
heralding it all over the newspapers. So when people go out and party tonight and think, oh, wow, we can smoke now, imagine all the arrests and the bail and the revenues these little people will be getting.
Yeah, it's not going to stop them. People are going to light up. They're going to light up.
Yes.
Hen cages in California, a ballot initiative all the way back from 2008, is going to take effect on January 1st. It's going to restrict the confinement of egg-laying hens, breeding sows, and veal calves. The new law is going to require that they have enough space to move around and not be kept in cramped cages, and it's going to cost farmers a small fortune. Animal rights groups, though, are jumping up and down and just peeing themselves. They're so happy about this. The space requirement for egg-laying hens is going to extend to out-of-state suppliers. So let's say you live in Idaho and your hen lays eggs and you've been shipping them to California. Now, according to this new California law, if your hen doesn't have room to run around, you're in trouble. From California, and you live in Idaho.
Well, you know what? As a vegetarian, I better keep my mouth shut.
But you'll eat an egg.
Yes, I'm not a vegan. I am not a vegan. But I can understand the moving around. If you've ever seen the way some of these animals are treated, they can't even stand up. So I really better keep my mouth shut on this one.
Here's the way I view chickens laying eggs, okay? They have no place to go. It's not like they're going to go shopping. It's not like they're going to go watch TV and then go to the kitchen and make a cup of coffee. Okay, their job is to sit on the nest and squirt out eggs. All right.
Yeah, but they don't even give them room to stand up. The people stick their hands in, take the eggs out of the nest, and the chickens can't even get off the nests. Some of these places are absolutely cruel and barbaric. I'm not even speaking on the whole fact that I don't eat meat, so I have a whole different angle to come from that. I'm just talking about the humane treatment. Some of them are horribly inhumane, and it's not such a bad law, but it might go a little bit too far.
I think it goes way too far.
Yeah, I mean, especially with the out of state. No, that part is terribly wrong. This is a state's issue, folks. This should not cross state lines. This should stay with each state.
Sometimes we squeeze the chicken.
Oh, God. Well, let's move along to driver's license for illegal immigrants.
Oh, yeah, this is a good one. Go ahead.
They call it immigrants. I call them illegal criminals. Starting Thursday, California illegal immigrants will be able to apply for a state driver's license under a 2013 law. So, hundreds of thousands of applicants, of criminals, are going to be applying for driver's licenses in the state of California. Now, think of what you get with a driver's license. You can get a voting card.
Mm-hmm.
You can get credit cards.
Yep.
You can get this. You can get that. In other words, hundreds of thousands of illegal criminals are going to be screwing us yet again.
And driving, and they can't read the signs.
Oh, yeah. And they're going to be driving probably without insurance because they can't afford the insurance.
And they don't have to get health insurance. Obamacare doesn't apply to them.
I'm talking about driving insurance, car insurance.
I know, but I'm just saying, I mean, basically, the driver's license is a license to screw us.
Yeah, of course it is.
This is really what it is. Jumping ahead a little bit here, because this one just, I was like, really? We need a law for this? In New York, in February, not tomorrow, but in February, it becomes illegal to pose for a photo with a lion, a tiger, or any other big cat. The measure, which specifically prohibits contact between members of the public and big cats at animal shows, passed after self-portraits with the animals started becoming more popular online, particularly with some young men on dating sites.
Oh, my God. Well, you know what?
Hello, I'm a stud. Here's the picture of me with a lion.
You can cut and paste the picture. I mean, come on, this is ridiculous. And going along with kind of ridiculous, now California, la liberal land, they have something called yes means yes. And that's a standard for sex between college students, and it takes effect on Thursday, requiring, quote, an affirmative, conscious, and voluntary agreement to engage in sexual activity, meaning silence or a lack of resistance can no longer be deemed consent. However, now they have opened themselves up to tremendous amount of rape cases because you can have a he said, she said scenario. Meaning, she said she wanted to sleep with me, or she said he wanted to sleep with me, and neither one, agrees to it. So you're going to have he said, she said battles going on all over the place. I guess now what they want with this affirmative conscientious agreement, I guess before you have sex, you need to go to a notary, tell them you're going to have sex, and then have a notary approve the paper.
Is the notary hot?
Who knows? Who knows? I mean, come on, people. College kids have been having sex since colleges first started. Yeah, you got a few nut cases that might slip something in or whatever, but you also have a few women that cry rape because the guy just used them for a one-night stand. So here you're going to have tremendous he said, she said cases, and it's going to tie up the courts, and ridiculous.
And how do you prove it one way or the other?
You can't. That's
I mean, speaking of colleges, in Berkeley, home of Berkeley, down in California, they passed a 1-cent tax. This goes into effect tomorrow. 1-cent tax on sugary drinks, including sodas and other beverages like Snapple and Gatorade. It's going to be paid by distributors, not by retailers. And according to the Brain Trust in Berkeley, it is unclear how or if the higher cost will be passed on to consumers. Let me tell you something about distributors of beverages. They are not going to eat the 1 penny. They're not going to. They're going to jack up the cost of a can of soda by 25 cents to pay for the 1-cent tax. So they're going to make more money, and it's going to cost the consumer.
Well, it might cut down on certain folks buying Snapple and then mixing them with Skittles.
Well, it might. It might. But all I'm saying is, if you're so stupid that you don't know that a tax that you put on a distributor is not going to be passed along to the consumer, you don't belong in a college or a college town. You belong in an asylum.
Yes. Yes. Oh, dear. It just gets happier and happier and happier, doesn't it, Craig?
These are just some of the new laws that are going to be, introduced here in 2015. We've got, just a few hours and some of these things actually become law. None of these make common sense. None of these are based in what we as the people need. This is a bunch of jokers who are looking for a way to make themselves relevant by writing laws. That's all it is.
Yes, however, there is one law that I think, if handled correctly, might actually be a good thing, and it's called the right to try. This was a law passed in Arizona allowing citizens access to certain medication, medical devices, and other treatments that have passed clinical trials but have not yet been approved by the Food and Drug Administration. Eligible patients would have to be terminally ill and have exhausted all other FDA-approved treatments. Now, having gone through the death of one of my closest friends this year because of Obamacare denying her treatment for brain cancer, this would have been a good option for her because there were experimental drugs that were in clinical trial that could have bought her more life. And this might not be a bad thing if it's handled correctly. It could get way out of hand and there could be problems. But if you have a panel of doctors, not Obama bureaucrats sitting in an ivory tower, but if you have real doctors and surgeons and maybe representatives from the drug companies who are putting out these drugs, you might be able to work something out where this actually can benefit people. But again, there's the big caveats, if.
Well, there you go, folks. New laws taking place tomorrow. Maybe one or two in February, but most of them tomorrow. 2015 new laws that we really don't need, except maybe for the last one. And now, Diane, in the couple of minutes we have left in this segment, do you have any predictions for next year?
Yeah, unfortunately I do. I have one major prediction that I think covers 2015 pretty well. Unless the new Congress, when it gets seated on January 6th, unless this new Republican Congress grows a set of balls, unfortunately, we will continue to wake up every morning with Barack Hussein Obama as president of these United States.
So there's your prediction right there.
There's my prediction. Either they grow a set, start impeachment proceedings, and then arrest proceedings, or we're going to be stuck with him for the next 2 years.
Well, I've been thinking about what I believe is going to happen, and like we said earlier in the show, Diana and I, we base our stuff on the tangible, the here and now, what we can prove, and Diane's prediction I think fits that scenario, and I think mine does too. I think in 2015, the state of California is going to be reeling from a catastrophe. We always hear about the big one. When's the big one going to hit California? It's rife for happening. And I think 2015 is when it's going to happen. I think that sometime in the second half, I'll even narrow it down to the second half of 2015, half of Nancy Pelosi's face is going to slide into the Pacific Ocean.
That's great. I love that one.
I believe this is the year.
Well, maybe it'll rain so much there, she'll walk out in the rain and melt.
Well, that could happen too.
Yeah, wouldn't that be a nice thing?
Now there's something right there, though, that Obama never has to worry about because he's two-faced.
True.
If one of them slides off, he's still got another one.
True. You got that one. One.
So there's my prediction for 2015. Diane's is that unless Congress grows a set of nerds, the chief nerd is still going to be in office.
The traitor-in-chief, absolutely.
The traitor-in-chief. So folks, if you've got your own predictions, write them down and date them and seal them, get them notarized, put them in a bank vault, and then when they happen in 2015, you can call us up and show us all the documentation, and it will put you on the air.
Yeah, make sure it's notarized.
Yep, because if it's not, we're not going to touch it. Not with
it could be he said, she said.
Yeah, exactly. Folks, when we come back, we're going to get into Diane's article about the whole situation with the police departments and police officers. It's a dire situation, and we've been having a lot of fun in the show up to now, but now we got to get serious. It is New Year's Eve, and this is a very dangerous time, I believe, for police officers around the country, and we are going to get into that, and we will close the show. You don't want to miss it. We're going to close the show with a very special tribute to police officers around the nation. And then later tonight, Diane, because even though we've been doing the show, we're still trying to get out of it and can't, you and I are going to be on with the Stallion.
Yeah, we're going to bring some sanity to the Stallion. We think.
Kind of the way we brought sanity to this show.
Well, I think we're both losing it. It's the end of the year, and this has not been the greatest year, except, for a couple of highlights like November 4th. It really hasn't been that great of a year for this country.
No, and what's happening right now with our police departments and our police officers, this is just about as despicable as anything can be. And so we're going to get into that here in just a couple of minutes. Folks, don't go anywhere. Diane and I will be back with more on Right Side Patriots after this.
The most amazing thing about the Ford Fusion isn't the way it looks. The most amazing thing is the way it sees. With blind spot technology, a lane keeping system, and a standard rear view camera, the Fusion is ready for whatever comes your way. Go prepared. Go further.
Citigold is an account from a global bank with over 200 years experience, offering international banking expertise across over 100 markets. Your dedicated investment consultant adds a unique personal touch to your banking experience. Complimentary lifestyle offers like Marhaba service and free global money transfers help you save on time and money. At the core of Citigold is your dedicated relationship manager, personally looking after your financial needs. Be it lifestyle privileges like golf, lounge access across the Middle East, or worldwide privileges, Citigold provides you with a rewarding experience. One card is all you need for all your Citibank accounts. As a Citigold client, you benefit from our international expertise and global reach. Citigold is more than an account. It's a personal banking service offering exceptional privileges, customer service and recognition worldwide. So wherever you are, Citigold will be with you.
Come on, Harry! Dumb and Dumber 2 is the #1 movie in America.
Am I right?
What? Seriously, it's #1.
These guys are morons! I like her a lot.
Dumb and Dumber 2, rated PG-13, now playing.
However dark the night, however dim our hopes, the light is always there within you.
His family gave him hope.
You fight harder than those other guys, and you win.
His spirit gave him strength.
We're gonna die out here.
We're not dying!
And in his darkest hour,
Who is the Olympic athlete?
his faith would not be broken.
Hello, Mother and Father. This will be the first time in 2 years that you'll have heard my voice. I wish you all a Merry Christmas. Your loving son, Louis.
On Christmas Day, experience the unbelievable true story of one man's journey home.
You can take it. You can make it. Just gotta believe you can.
If I can take it, I can make it.
Unbroken, rated PG-13, Christmas Day.
Read something recently worth thinking about. It's the soldier, not the campus organizer, who's given us freedom to demonstrate. It's the soldier, not the reporter, who's given us freedom of the press. It's the soldier, not the poet, who's given us freedom of speech. It's the soldier who serves under the flag, who defends the protesters' right to burn the flag. Isn't it time now to demonstrate that we support our troops? Were it not for the brave, there'd be no land of the free.
Fred Thompson's message was brought to you by citizensunited.org.
Happy New Year. Happy New Year. Let's raise a glass. Here's to you, dear. I was hoping that I'd find you here just to wish you a happy new year. Kiss me pretty, when that ball drops on New York City. When that clock strikes, I'll pull you near just to wish you a happy new year. I'll quit smoking, I'll quit eating, I'm not joking. I'll quit cheating, I'll quit cursing, I'll quit drinking, I'll be a better person. But tonight I'm thinking, let's get shit-faced. Let's get shit-faced. Let's get into trouble. Let's get out of this place. And I'll have faith in the coast that you clear. Say you love me. Happy New Year. I know you're thinking I must be crazy. Don't sweat that small stuff. Kiss me, baby. Yeah, it's September, but with you here, every night is a happy new year. Happy New Year. Happy New Year. Let's raise a glass. Cheers to you, dear. I'm so glad that I found you here, so you could be mine. Be mine. Happy New
And we're back on Right Side Patriots. Craig Andreessen from the National Patriot, Diane Sori from the Patriot Factor, and Kid Rock singing Happy New Year. Is there anything Kid Rock has not done a song that is perfect for?
Probably not.
I tell you, I dig the guy. I like Kid Rock, and that's just kind of a fun little Happy New Year song for you. It is New Year's Eve after all, and you know we've been having a lot of fun on the show, but now we got to get a little bit serious here as we wrap up our New Year's Eve special. Diane, Officer Rafael Ramos, his funeral was held just a few days ago. One of the two police officers that was assassinated in New York City while sitting in their patrol car, he and Officer Liu. And the funeral, well, you wrote a great article about this. It's almost a personal eulogy from you to Officer Ramos, and you covered a lot of ground in that article.
Yeah, it's a very sad situation that happened, and anyone who has police officers in their families, and I do have one in mine, they all know that when they walk out in the morning, there is a chance of them not coming home. However, this was beyond that. This was an out-and-out assassination. And while the perpetrator, the shooter, is 100% guilty, there also is blood on the hands of Barack Hussein Obama, Al Sharpton, and Bill de Blasio, the mayor of New York City, because of their attitude towards our police and towards our law enforcement. It's similar to the attitude they have towards our troops and our veterans. In other words, they don't give a damn. To them, they're the enemy, instead of looking at them as the protectors of the people. And when this happened, it had come out in the news that Mayor de Blasio, not only does he not respect our police officers, but he had the audacity to admit that he tells his own biracial son that he has to be careful of the police strictly because of his skin color. He is feeding into the race baiting and the white hating aspect of this whole scenario. And when they had first the wake on Friday, where de Blasio was over 2 hours late, and then the funeral on Saturday, he should have never been at either one, because this man has done everything in his power to defame and to neuter the New York City Police Department, probably the most diverse, racially balanced police force in the United States. He has said all sorts of defamatory things against them. And yet here he was at that funeral, not for Officer Ramos, but for a photo op for himself. This man had no business there. And you know what? The officers in attendance to pay their last respects to Officer Ramos, who is now Detective First Grade. He was awarded that honor posthumously. And both inside the church and outside the church, where the big jumbotrons were set up, they turned their backs on de Blasio. A sea of blue turning their backs on the mayor to show how unhappy they were with him. And that was a very fitting tribute and honor to their slain comrade, because they did it without saying a word, without raising a hand, They just turned their backs. It negated, it neutered, it was a public slap in the face to a mayor who does everything in his power to hurt the very ones that are there to protect our citizens. Now, also at this funeral, and some people were a little upset by it, but there's a little two sides to it, was Vice President Joe Biden. Should Obama have been there? I personally, if it was my family, I wouldn't want that POS at the funeral. However, he was very quick to speak out on the murders and such of his little black brethren. He could have been there technically. Would he have been welcomed? I don't think so. In his place, he sent Joe Biden. Now, at first, everybody went, oh my God, Uncle Joe, I call him Uncle Joe, bite me. He was there. However, and I have said this from day one, Joe Biden is a joke. We all know it. He's the king of foot and mouth bloviations. However, the difference between Obama and Biden is that Biden is not a traitor, nor has he ever been a traitor. He is also and has always been a staunch supporter of law enforcement. In fact, he was the one that in 1994 wrote the Violent Crime Control and Law Enforcement Act, an act considered by many on both sides of the aisle to be the most important crime and pro-law enforcement legislation ever written and passed. Because this bill, and it was signed by Billy Boy, set out to spend $30.2 billion to put more police officers on the street, build new prisons, create crime prevention programs, and while it did ban assault weapons, which we proponents of the Second Amendment have a problem with, it did expand the number of crimes that fall under the federal death penalty. And that was a good thing because if you remember, at that time, state after state was appealing their death penalties because the liberals and their kumbaya, touchy-feeling sensibilities, oh, you can't kill somebody. No, that's not right. His bill actually extended crimes that could be punishable under the death penalty. And it did some very, very other good things, like forced sex offenders to appear on a national register. So as much as Joe Biden, like I said, is a joke on certain issues, even a broken clock, even a Democrat can be right twice a day, like the broken clock. But what this boils down to is that this was an atrocity. I am glad the man who shot the two officers took his own life because it saved we the people the expense of housing, clothing, and feeding him, for God knows how many years until the death sentence took hold. And rest assured, this man would have gotten the death sentence because in New York, you can get the death sentence for killing a police officer. We would have been paying for him for years and years and years. So good, he got a faster trip to hell as far as I'm concerned. But that show of support by the police officers, and it was up to 30,000 strong from all over the country, and including from officers from Canada and from Great Britain, showed that police officers are united together. And that missing man formation with the helicopters, that brought us all to tears because here it was Ramos, and Lou's funeral is going to be this weekend. These two men did not have to be assassinated. It was the tone that has been set by Obama, Holder, and Sharpton across our country. The race baiting, the white hating, the everything is whitey's fault, the trying to throw guilt on us for things that happened generations ago. They have now contributed to the deaths of these two officers because they are deliberately trying to divide our country. And this sea of officers said, no, we've had enough. And they're going to do it again on Saturday. And I salute them. I know Craig salutes them, and we honor what they're doing. We honor their work that they do. Sure, you might have 1% out of that 100% who might be rogue cops, but you don't lump them all in for a small 1%, or even less it could be. I thank our police officers for keeping us safe on our city streets, on our country streets, on our rural roads. Without them, there would be anarchy. But then again, that's what Obama and crew want.
You know, tonight is New Year's Eve, and there's going to be a lot of celebrating all across the country, probably most notably in New York City with the ball drop. It happens every year. Over the past 12, 13 years, since 2001, the New York City Police Department has done a fantastic job of maintaining safety for all those people that want to come out and partake in that particular party. And it's a big party. Live music, concerts, national recording artists, the ball drop. Millions turn out in the streets of Times Square to see that. And this year we have conflicting reports, but it seems that the police are going to scale back a little bit because of all these threats that are being made. And this is a situation that's going to affect cities and towns across this country, I think, for a long time. I've got a series of articles that I have put together regarding this entire situation, and I'm going to start them on Friday. I'm taking tomorrow off. Diane is too. We won't be publishing in either the National Patriot or Diane's Patriot Factor. But starting Friday, I've got a series of 3 articles dealing with this, and I think it's a lot more dire than most people think. At this point, but Diane says she's got a relative that's on the job. I've got a couple relatives that are on the job, and I've got a lot of friends that are still on the job. And it's one thing to go into a situation where like a domestic violence situation or something, or traffic stop, even something that you would think is mundane. Cops can never let their guard down, ever. Because you never know what's going to happen. But to be sitting in your patrol car, just being visible to help people understand that the police have a presence in your neighborhood, and then be gunned down from behind, this raises it to a whole new level. And the things that police departments and police officers are thinking about doing now, basically in response to all of this, is going to have an effect on all of us, the law-abiding citizens of this country. Response times are going to be slower because now maybe instead of having 1 officer per vehicle, you're going to have 2, which means you may not have as many vehicles on the street at any given time, and therefore response times are going to be longer. I'll go through this in the series of articles coming up on Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. But, what these thugs, what these hell-bent for murder thugs are doing is making life worse for everybody. And when you have police officers, you're talking about 900,000 plus law enforcement officers in this country. If even 1% of them are bad cops, I'd be surprised.
Right.
And that means a lot of good cops are going to get killed. And a lot of good families are going to be without somebody. And civilians are going to get caught up in this crossfire. Civilians are going to die because of this too. And, here we sit on New Year's Eve, contemplating which party to go to first and how to wrap things up for the night. And we've got to think about those who are out there on the streets to protect and serve. And let me tell you something, folks. They're doing a job that you couldn't pay me enough to do.
No, they literally put their lives on the line. It never used to be like that. But now with this thug culture and the thug mentality and the hatred emanating from the White House, from the mayor's office, it's not safe. Even for the people with the guns, it's not safe anymore.
Certain gangs have sent out tweets or sent out messages the way they do, with spray paint on walls, talking about they're going to kill a cop on New Year's Eve, and they'll even mention the town where this is going to take place. So, you know, a lot of times you can say that these gangs are full of crap, and they're just trying to make themselves sound more important than they really are. But when it comes to what we've been seeing for the last couple of weeks, you got to take that seriously, especially if you're in uniform.
Right, right. Your uniform is what they're targeting. They don't care who you are, if you're a family man, if you're a father, if you're a grandfather, if you're a mother, if you're whatever. They don't care about that. They care that you're wearing that uniform, and to them that uniform symbolizes oppression, hatred, everything bad about society, everything that they feel society owes them.
Let me tell you something. The color of your skin doesn't matter either if you're a cop. It's the color of your uniform.
That's it.
They figure if you're black and you're a cop, you're not black enough, and you're just as bad as a white cop, and they don't care.
You're an Uncle Tom. If you're a black cop, you're an Uncle Tom.
You know, it's been my pleasure over the years to have known a lot of police officers. Been really good friends with a lot of people that protect and serve in two great states, state of Nebraska and also in the state of Arizona. And you know, I think about them tonight, and I think about them every day. Maybe more so now than I did a couple of weeks ago. But, you know, we hope they're safe tonight, we hope. We hope nothing bad happens tonight, but we won't be surprised if it does.
Right. And it won't just be in New York, guys. It's going to be all over the country because there are tweets going around, still kill the cops, kill them now. You know, the ones let off by Al Sharpton, and why this man is still walking the streets and hasn't been arrested for inciting violence, I don't know. Yes, I do. It's the color of his skin that's keeping him safe because we have Obama and as president and Holder as our top cop. But it's not going to just be New York that there could be trouble in tonight. It can be even in our local towns.
Folks, we thought we would put together to close the show today a very special tribute to police officers. You may recognize the voice. If you don't, it's the voice of veteran and brilliant broadcaster Paul Harvey. And I took the liberty of adding a little music underneath it. So with that, Diane, we hope that all of our listeners have a happy, safe New Year's Eve and a better New Year starting tomorrow.
Yes, and guys, January 6th, we can turn this around. Like I said, if that Congress grows a set, we can take our country back. And I wish everybody a happy New Year. I wish my partner Craig a happy New Year, the staff at CPR, especially Stallion and our dear friend who bails us out of all sorts of computer issues and technical issues, Robert. I wish him a happy New Year and all of our listeners.
Here's our tribute to police officers everywhere.
A policeman is a composite of what all men are, I guess, a mingling of saint and sinner, dust and deity. Called statistics, wave the fan over stinkers, underscore instances of dishonesty and brutality because they are news. What that really means is that they are exceptional, they are unusual, they are not commonplace. Buried under the froth is the fact. And the fact is that less than 0.5% of policemen misfit that uniform. And that is a better average than you'd find among clergymen. What is a policeman? He of all men is at once the most needed and the most wanted, a strangely nameless creature who is sir to his face and pig or worse behind his back. He must be such a diplomat that he can settle differences between individuals so that each will think he won, but if a policeman is neat, he's conceited. If he's careless, he's a bum. If he's pleasant, he's a flirt. If he's not, he's a grouch. He must make instant decisions which would require months for a lawyer, but if he hurries, he's careless. If he's deliberate, he's lazy. He must be first to an accident, infallible with a diagnosis. He must be able to start breathing, stop bleeding, tie splints, and above all, be sure the victim goes home without a limp or expect to be sued. The police officer must know every gun, draw on the run, and hit where it doesn't hurt. He must be able to whip two men twice his size and half his age without damaging his uniform and without being brutal. If you hit him, he's a coward. If he hits you, he's a bully. A policeman must know everything and not tell. He must know where all of the sin is and not partake. The policeman from a single human hair must be able to describe the crime, the weapon, the criminal, and tell you where the criminal is hiding, but if he catches the criminal, he's lucky. If he doesn't, he's a dunce. If he gets promoted, he has political pull. If he doesn't, he's a dullard. The policeman must chase bum leads to a dead end, stake out 10 nights to tag one witness who saw it happen but refuses to remember. He runs files and writes reports until his eyes ache to build a case against some felon who will get dealed out by a shameless Seamus or an honorable who isn't honorable. The policeman must be a minister, a social worker, a diplomat, a tough guy, and a gentleman. And of course he'll have to be a genius because he'll have to feed a family on a policeman's salary.